Celebrating the country's first trading day of the year, President Yoon says he will roll back the income tax on investors set to go into effect in 2025 to encourage investment. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un orders his military officials to be at full readiness, having earlier defined inter-Korean ties as hostile. This is prompting criticism from the South Korean government. The death toll continues to rise in Japan in the wake of a powerful earthquake that struck the country's west on Monday as rescuers rushed to find survivors. It's January 2nd, 2024. This is Newscenter. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yun MyungHo. Celebrating the country's first trading day of the year, President Yoon says he will scrap the income tax scheme on investors set to go into effect in 2025 as its implementation had been delayed because the plan was unpopular among investors. He also met with business leaders at a New Year's event and promised support. Our presidential office correspondent Kim Do-yeon starts us off.
On the first workday of 2024, President Yoon Suk-yeol showed his commitment to vitalizing South Korea's economy. In fact, he became the first president to attend the New Year Securities and Derivatives Market opening ceremony, saying South Korea's stock market is heavily undervalued despite its global companies.
제 임기 중에 글로벌 스탠다드에 맞지 않는 자본 시장의 규제는 과감하게 혁파해서 글로벌 증시 수준으로 코리아 디스카운트를 해소할 것입니다.
To be specific, he announced that the government is looking into scrapping the law on taxing financial investments starting 2025. The law levies at least 20% for those that make more than 50 million won or $38,400 from stock investments or around $2,000 through other financial instruments. He also re-emphasized reforming the nation's short-selling market, and this comes as shorting is currently banned in South Korea until June of this year for now. Yoon said that the market is, quote, a place of co-prosperity and a ladder of opportunity for the accumulation of national wealth, saying he will keep communicating with the public to ensure a fair system. President Yoon also partook in the New Year celebration for the business community at the Korea Federation of SMEs headquarters. The event is co-hosted with the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry and is known to be the biggest New Year's event for both small and big-sized business leaders with around 400 participants. President Yoon there showed his hopes for 2024.
수출이 늘면서 경제 회복과 성장을 이끌 것입니다. 정부는 국민들께서 우리 경제의 역동성을 체감하실 수 있도록 온 힘을 쏟겠습니다.
He also vowed to invigorate the economy through emphasis on support for the service sector, advanced industries, and youth startups, and reducing financial burdens on small businesses by working with banks. On top of this, he also pledged to get rid of outdated regulations and to reform the labor system to instill fairness and the rule of law in the labor market. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Having defined inter-Korean ties as hostile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un now has ordered his military officials to be at full readiness. Our defense correspondent Jae Min-jung reports on a response from the South Korean government as the regime continues to renew its hostility towards the South.
South Korea's defense ministry has strongly condemned North Korea's plans to escalate military provocations in the new year. This comes as North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered commanders to perfect the military's readiness posture on New Year's Eve, saying the Korean peninsula is inching closer to the brink of armed conflict. The remarks were also echoed during the regime's key year-end party meeting.
We must always be alert to the unusual development of the military situation on the Korean peninsula and be prepared to engage in war. As I mentioned recently, if the United States and South Korea ultimately plan on initiating a military confrontation with us, we will not hesitate to turn our nuclear war deterrence into serious action.
While strongly condemning the remarks, Seoul's defense ministry on Tuesday explained that Kim's words are aimed at intensifying internal solidarity.
North Korea's remarks are largely aimed at strengthening its internal solidarity and provoking conflict in the South. We strongly criticize North Korea's plan to continue engaging in provocative actions prohibited by the UN Security Council, including the enhancement of nuclear weapons, as well as the launching of additional reconnaissance satellites planned for this year.
A unification ministry official assessed that the regime used stronger terms when talking about tensions with South Korea and the U.S. to try and justify its will to strengthen military capabilities and deepen the public's loyalty to the regime. The same official also said the government will overwhelmingly suppress North Korean threats based on the Seoul-Washington alliance. Also on New Year's Eve, Kim attended a celebration accompanied by his daughter Kim Ju-ae. The North's media once again directed the spotlight on Ju-ae, with Kim Jong-un seen showing affection in public towards his daughter. Choi Min-jang, Arirang News.
South Korea's two-year term as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council has begun with the start of 2024. Our Kim Jong-sil explains what this means at a time of heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula and around the world.
South Korea's term as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council has begun. The two-year term was announced back in June when South Korea, along with 4 other nations, was elected to serve as a non-permanent member for 2024 and 2025. The UN Security Council has 5 permanent members, which are the US, China, Russia, the UK, and France, along with 10 non-permanent members. This is the 3rd time that South Korea is serving as a UNSC member following its terms in 1996 and 2013. The Security Council is the only UN body with the authority to issue binding resolutions to member states, so it's possible South Korea could raise its voice on North Korean nuclear and missile threats. It will be given the right to vote, submit draft resolutions, and summon meetings during the months that South Korea has the Security Council presidency. This year especially, South Korea will be working alongside the US, a permanent member, and Japan, which is already serving as a non-permanent member, so 3-way cooperation on North Korean issues is expected.
We will do our best to help the Security Council effectively respond to major challenges, including not only North Korean issues, but also issues in Ukraine, as well as in Israel-Palestine, that threaten the peace and security of the international community.
But challenges remain. China and Russia, as permanent members of the Security Council, have been using their vetoes to block sanctions resolutions against Pyongyang. Experts say South Korea may need to first approach with trying to address North Korean human rights violations, as it may take some time to persuade China and Russia to change their views on North Korean nuclear issues. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Over in Japan, the death toll is on the rise after a powerful earthquake struck the country's west on New Year's Day. As rescue workers are rushing to find survivors, the country is on high alert, bracing for the possibility of more aftershocks. Song Yoo-jin has the latest.
What used to be homes have been reduced to rubble. Smoke and flames spew out from the buildings. These devastating scenes are the aftermath of a magnitude 7.6 earthquake that struck the Noto Peninsula in Japan's Ishikawa Prefecture on Monday. Local officials confirmed that as of Tuesday afternoon, at least 48 people have died and another 7 have been seriously injured. But the numbers could rise as rescuers are still working to reach those trapped under collapsed buildings. Over 45,000 homes in the prefecture are without power. The strong tremors could also be felt in the nearby Nagano Prefecture.
So the whole room was shaking, the TV was shaking. I had to keep everything on the table.
The Japanese government dispatched 1,000 soldiers for search and rescue operations on Monday. But wrecked roads are making it difficult for rescuers and relief supplies to reach the affected areas.
We will be working in earnest to secure transportation via sea routes.
However, nuclear plants in the region are operating normally.
Beginning with the Shika nuclear power plant closest to the epicenter, there are currently no reported irregularities with nuclear power plants.
Fears grew as the country witnessed the meltdown of 3 nuclear reactors in 2011 when a magnitude 9.0 earthquake triggered a tsunami that destroyed the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. While Japan's meteorological agency lifted all tsunami advisories issued after the quake, there are still lingering concerns over potential aftershocks. According to the United States Geological Survey, at least 35 of them have been reported since Monday. Seismologists have warned that aftershocks could last for days or even months. Tens of thousands of residents have been ordered to evacuate their homes. 송유진, Arirang News.
President Yoon sent a condolence message to Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on Tuesday, expressing his sympathy and support following the powerful earthquake that hit Japan's Ishikawa Prefecture. In his message, the South Korean leader offered his sorrow and condolences for the victims and bereaved families. He expressed solidarity with Japan in overcoming the earthquake's damage, as well as his intention to support the country's recovery efforts. Yoon added that he hopes residents in the affected areas are able to return to their daily lives as soon as possible. A trilateral group from South Korea, Japan, and China has announced that the spirit word for the year 2024 is exchange. The Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat said the word was voted for by citizens from the 3 countries. The voting campaign was held from mid-November to mid-December to discover the aspirations people had for trilateral cooperation. It received over 10,000 votes in total, a tenfold increase from last year. The Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat was formed between the 3 countries in 2011 with the vision of promoting peace and common prosperity. South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party of Korea leader Jae-myung was stabbed earlier today during his visit to Busan. He was airlifted to Seoul for surgery. Our Shin Se-byuk is following developments.
The leader of the main opposition Democratic Party, Jae-myung, was attacked and stabbed on Tuesday morning during a visit to the southeastern port city of Busan. He was initially taken to Busan National University Hospital, but was later airlifted to Seoul National University for surgery and is reportedly not in critical condition. He was stabbed in the neck at around 10:30 a.m. following a tour of the construction site of a new airport in Busan. He's thought to have suffered damage to a vein that carries blood from the head to the heart. He has a wound of approximately 1 centimeter but remained conscious while being taken to a hospital. A male suspect was arrested at the scene and has been identified as a man born in 1957, surnamed Kim. Police said the attacker will be charged with attempted murder. Following the incident, the presidential office issued a statement expressing deep concern and said society should never tolerate such acts of violence under any circumstances. President Yoon also called for a swift investigation into the assault, as well as utmost efforts to provide prompt and proper care. The National Police Agency has formed a 69-member special investigation team to conduct a thorough and swift inquiry. Prosecutors also have set up a team to look into the attack. Concerns are also being voiced within the political community. Following the attack, politicians across the spectrum were united in condemning the incident. The Democratic Party of Korea condemned Tuesday's attack, calling it, quote, an act of terror and a threat to democracy. The DP is planning to hold an emergency party assembly tomorrow to provide an update on Lee's condition and to discuss the party's future operations. The interim chief of the ruling People Power Party, Han Dong-un, also criticized the attack, saying such incidents are, quote, absolutely unacceptable. The former PPP leader Lee Jun-seok also shared his concerns via social media, wishing Lee a safe and rapid recovery. With a general election scheduled for April this year, an attack targeting a politician is expected to raise concerns about safety protocols for campaign events. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
In other news, Ukraine ensured a deadly start to 2024 as Russia launched a record wave of drones across the country, and Putin pledged to ramp up the attacks. Chung Eun-ju has the latest.
Russia marked the new year with the launch of a record 90 Shahed-type drones over Ukraine. Ukrainian officials said Monday that the country's air defense systems destroyed 87 of 90 drones launched by Russia. According to the governor of the Odessa region, at least one person was killed and 9 injured. The attacks caused significant damage to a museum and university buildings in Lviv, which the city's mayor described as symbolic and cynical. Officials said drone strikes and artillery fire also killed 3 people in Kherson, Kharkiv, and Sumy. Meanwhile, Russian-installed leaders in the occupied city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine on Monday accused Kyiv of killing 4 people and injuring 13 in overnight strikes. Monday's airstrikes come as Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed to intensify attacks on Ukraine following an Ukrainian strike on the South Russian city of Belgorod, which killed at least 25. Moscow has blamed Kyiv for the Belgorod attack, which came a day after Russia launched some 158 missiles and drones on Ukrainian cities, killing 30 people in Kyiv and elsewhere last Friday. Citing domestic intelligence sources, Ukraine's media reported that the explosions in Belgorod were caused by debris from projectiles falling on the city after being unprofessionally intercepted by Russian air defenses. In his New Year's Eve speech Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sought to rally the country, saying, "We defeated the darkness as the war closes in on 2 years." Chung Eun-ju, Arirang News.
In the Middle East, Israeli troops are moving out of Gaza, which could mean a sign of transition to a low-intensity operation better targeted against Hamas. Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
The Israeli military says it plans to pull thousands of troops out of the Gaza Strip. A statement released Monday said 5 brigades, or several thousand troops, were being taken out of Gaza for training and rest. Israel Defense Forces spokesperson Daniel Hagari did not say whether the pullback meant the armed conflict was entering a new phase. However, according to a U.S. official, Israel's decision to withdraw some of its troops from the Gaza Strip is a signal that it's beginning a gradual transition to low-intensity operations. The official, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, added that the decision to pull out troops is a reflection of the success Israel has had in its fight against Hamas. Meanwhile, the chief of the Israel Defense Forces Southern Command says the fight in Gaza will continue in a variety of methods, in a variety of intensities, and in varying forms. He says the shift in strategy will make it difficult for the enemy to pinpoint them and understand them. At the stroke of midnight marking New Year's Day, Hamas fired at least 27 rockets at the south and center of Israel. According to Israel's military, its air defense system intercepted 18 rockets, while 9 of them fell in open areas. In a video published on social media, Hamas claimed responsibility for the attack from Gaza, saying it had fired M90 rockets in response to the massacres of civilians carried out by Israel. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Taylor Swift has broken Elvis Presleys' record for the most weeks at the top of the Billboard album chart as a solo artist. The 34-year-old singer's album 1989, Taylor's version, was top of the charts in the final week of 2023, meaning that Swift's albums have now spent a combined 68 weeks at #1. Taylor Swift has reached the top of the Billboard album chart with 13 of her albums. Presley's previous record was 67 weeks with 10 albums from 1956 to 2002. The all-time record, though, is held by the Beatles as a group artist with a remarkable 132 weeks at the top. Researchers here have come up with a relatively cleaner and more cost-effective way to recycle EV batteries. Yoon tells us how.
More electric vehicles on the roads also means more waste batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are mostly used in EVs as they have longer battery life than nickel or other rechargeable batteries. But drawbacks, such as limited reserves and high price fluctuations, have spurred the development of technology to recycle these batteries. And now a team of Korean researchers have developed a rather simple and eco-friendly process to recover lithium from the waste lithium-ion EV batteries. Without any particular sorting, waste batteries are shredded. The small pieces of battery are heated to 1,200 degrees Celsius. The heat breaks down the pieces to almost a powder state, which is then sieved to separate the graphite from the lithium compounds. The filtered lithium compounds are then purified, which allows lithium to be recovered to be used as new battery material.
In a single process, graphite and metals from automobile batteries are separated. Compared to previous methods, the process is eco-friendly.
The existing method of recovering lithium from waste batteries required heating the materials up to 1,400 degrees Celsius, at which point graphite is oxidized into carbon dioxide. But this latest method uses the characteristic of graphite where it reaches a fine powder state at around 1,200 degrees. The goal is to separate the graphite from the lithium, which is possible in a fine powder state. And as this requires a lower heating temperature, it saves energy and energy costs. This research team has completed its patent registration for this technology and is proceeding with patent registration in the United States, China, and Europe. 이은진, Arirang News.
Milder weather conditions welcomed us back for the first workday of the new year. There will be no frigid spells for the rest of the week, but the cold air will start to move south from tomorrow afternoon. The day after tomorrow is expected to get chillier. In the aftermath of the earthquake in Japan, sea levels on the East Coast may be higher than usual today. On top of that, the East Coast will have high rippling waves until tomorrow morning. Please pay special attention to the risk of coastal safety accidents. In addition, there is rain or snow forecast all over the country tomorrow. Up to 10 centimeters of snow will accumulate in the mountainous areas of Jeju Island and 1 to 3 centimeters in inland and mountainous areas of Gangwon-do and southern Jeollabuk-do provinces. Wednesday morning in Seoul will start off at 0 degrees. Highs in Seoul will get up to 5 degrees. Gwangju, Daegu, and Gyeongju 8 degrees Celsius. Relatively mild winter conditions will continue until the weekend. I hope your new year brings you all the luck in the world. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.